what's the latest, Scott?
The latest I read about last Friday, which I guess was the first, was there was a hearing between the Department of Justice and National Association of Realtors. So the fight continues. Trump administration had the investigation closed, and that really was the end of it. And that, if you recall, the Department of Justice arrived at a settlement, I think in 2019, and then just did not continue with the negotiation or the settlement in 2020. Plus COVID, things really were slowed down, as we all know. Mm-hmm. And there was no further investigation. Under the new Biden administration in 2021, the Department of Justice felt like, listen, yeah, the investigation was closed, but we are, it's just like anything that's closed, like a door or a window, you could reopen. And the court, no, the Department of Justice was saying it can be reopened, and the NAR said, no, you said it's closed. And the court gave a really disdainful view and said, wait a minute, nothing in this letter that it's closed said it can't be reopened. So like all judicial review of NAR, they're always looked at askance because there's been such a belief that there's been some unlawful practices, and it's sad to say. So that's where we are right now, that it seems like the Department of Justice is going to continue its investigation, which is in lockstep with the plaintiff's interest. And that's why the lead attorney, Ketchmark, is all about this and pushing forward.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And Ketchmark has made some statements too, right?
He said that he's, I guess, supported by the DOJ, that they're all riding the same wave.
Yeah. And he's really pushing for, the injunction to be upheld. And things are changing, and we're not hearing a whole lot of communication. Why do you think that is? What's happening?
Well, I mean, I always thought from the beginning that I don't care what attorney you have, there's all the facts are against NAR as it stood, using that per se standard, which we've gone over. Now, I really don't know the answer, whether it's true or not, but the NAR attorneys said that the per se standard, whether it happened or not, is not usually used in antitrust. I don't know, but I know what they said. They said that the rule of reason is traditionally. What's right? I don't know. I mean, but if this standard is reviewed, then I would think the question is, it's a question of fact, was the clear cooperation policy on a per se basis violative? Mm-hmm. So, you and I discussed this one situation that I don't really understand. It's a gray area. It seems to be some crazy honeymoon period where why are listings being taken today and compensation offers being made? Why is the practice that was deemed violative continuing? I can't get an answer.
And it is continuing. And agents are all over social media talking about it and even expressing further violative statements. And I'm really not sure why that is. It seems to be that there's no communication that's being brought down from leadership, whether that is leadership of the brand that they work for or leadership from their association. We're not really hearing a whole lot. There's not much conversation. There's very little direction or guidance. It's, basically everything is staying the same. We're going to appeal. There's no process of, what the appeal would look like if they were going to appeal. And everyone, if you talk to 10 different people, you get 10 different answers. Like there's just no direction. And I'm not sure why that is.
Well, I always refer to Rob Hahn, who's a brilliant legal mind, a scholar, and a real estate industry analyst. He's very, very sought after and known to be a cool guy. We have long roots. Yeah. And I've been watching him, listening to him, a few dialogues with him.
He's excellent, by the way. Excellent.
He really, he's not beholden to anyone. So he lets you know how it is. He noted that the president of NAR has come out one time. The attorneys, the trial attorneys have come out one time. He questioned how much have they spoken. He really, really thinks that the information given to the members is horrendous. The leadership hasn't been reached all around. And, from listening to that, I thought, wait a minute, as fiduciaries, how can this persist? We have clients that want to list and sell
And
And
they
if
have
not,
questions. They're
and they have
hearing about
questions.
it on the news. They have questions and they're not getting the proper answers.
On top of that, it comes down to dollars and cents. It could very well be that someone really, really values the representation and the assistance and guidance of a real estate professional with whom they're familiar, and they're not aware that they may have to pay. They may not be aware that of the clear cooperation policy, where they would use the certain process that we have, pay for the house, and all commissions, whether you like it or not, would be baked in and financed. If nothing else, that's what's happened in the past. That's what's custom. That's what's usual. So it may be that you're really burdening a family who anticipated maintaining the status quo, and now they're going to be hit with some message by someone they trust and respect. So, I mean, the lack of communication and the persistence of misinformation by self-appointed guardians or loudmouths with an axe to grind could be really, really harmful. I don't know why that members of the industry or the organization would want someone misinformed being there a champion.
I don't understand that either. I know exactly what you're talking about. I see it every day. And, you know, there's just so much misinformation, and there's attacks on attorneys that have, you know, defended that brought about this case, the ones that represented the plaintiffs. You know, we're attacking them. We're attacking the attorneys that represented NAR, you know, without really any real facts to back that up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're
But
just going out there and just spewing whatever is on the top of anyone's head, and then others are following them. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It really doesn't. And I question this every single day, because at any point in time, the judge can come out and say the injunction is going to be upheld. There's, I mean, at least 4 new lawsuits that I know of. I'm sure there will be hundreds that will follow. When does it end? When does the change come about? And will that happen overnight? And then how do you explain this to the public? What's going on? This is craziness.
I think a lot is not going on. In Rob's session, there was repeated mentions of appeals, and in a prior session, Rob was really describing in depth the low likelihood of an appeal or a successful appeal. So I know in the general public's idea, appeals happen as a matter of right, which is not true, and then it takes up time. In this case, it really, no one can speak to the time, but we don't know if it'll happen. And that's not a saving grace, because it would have to be some type of a stop. That means they're, of course, if a factory was polluting a river, we'd stop it right now. But we don't know that a stay would be granted. That is to be a matter of description of the urgency or exigency of the situation. It's a mess. It's really I think it really impairs NAR's position by giving practitioners really not much to go on. And right now, we don't, I should say in this case, that the allegation is for everyone now. For instance, this was a class action. It took 250,000 people over 2 jurisdictions. The interesting thing now is anywhere, Main Street USA, an attorney could represent one home seller who spent relatively low commission, and these organizations can be hit again with suits. I mean, how much can they stand? I mean, keep in mind,
they hit every single day.
Right. And they're going to just activate lawyers to answer complaints, field phone calls, go to court.
My question is, why is the industry not preparing for what's about to happen?
Well, Ketchmark said all this protest is really just dragging feet, and really we should get to a point of, maybe he says, healing, where industry practices could improve, could change. They could even be talking to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, where some understood, appropriate, fully disclosed financing is done as an opportunity, an alternative. That's not being done.
There are solutions, and there are ways to make this work out, where many people are saying, oh, the real estate industry will just fall apart completely. It won't. I don't think so, but I do think it will change significantly, and there will have to be a certain skill level that all agents will have to adapt in order to survive. And I don't see anyone preparing for that. I see a lot of complaining. I see a lot of accusations going back and forth. I see a lot of attacks. I see a lot of big mouths coming out, saying, I will represent the industry this way. And, I'll do this and I'll do that. None of that is helping. We really need to prepare for the changes if we want to better serve the public. And that is what I hear all the time. Agents really want to add a positive contribution to their community. Then they need to follow what is going on and prepare properly for a better solution for all.
Well, there's so many other things too. For instance, the rise in interest rates from 2022 to 2023, that made homes less affordable. There were some crazy statistics that you could buy a house at $600,000 and you pay this percent and you're down to 400 plus. So buying power has been diminished. If you ever were going to talk about any alternative approaches such as seller credit, seller contribution, that depends on appraisers. And where's the conversations with appraisers? Where's this collaborative, cohesive approach? It's not happening, and we don't know why. When I hear that industry conferences are talking about social media still, enough.
When the association that is putting social media on their program are the ones that came out and said less than 1% of the business is originated from social media. Right. That's kind of shocking.
And people don't like that. When I provided that information in the 2023 report, February, that said 2021, 2022, 1%, when I stated just the mathematical corollary that 99% is a failure across all age groups, it just was met with total resistance. And that, I think we would all believe in our own industry newsletter or source of information. I think that unfortunately people are going to just allow the wheels to come off the wagon. And I live 7 or 8 minutes from New York City. If that happens and the, really would be a seismic shift and a sea change. So we don't know. There's no answer. If my own president and our attorneys, you and me, it's the NARs, won't give us any direction, where can we get it from? I've asked various board attorneys, and they're waiting for a response above. I think they're waiting for a court decision. They're waiting for decisions from industry leaders. Unfortunately, it's not much to say.
Good. I don't think that it's wrong to wait on a decision. I think that we should be preparing instead of, taking to social media, which is basically, taking to the streets in a riot. That's what they're doing. They're out on social media screaming, about this and that, and, follow this and no, do it this way, do it that way. And, and some of it is just complete chaos. If you're waiting for a decision, that's fine, but you should be preparing for what's coming down the pike.
Well, that Rob Hahn really insightfully said that this matter was filed in 2019.
Right. So they had more than enough time to figure out what to do with this.
And on top of that, there was a big break. COVID stopped everything. COVID did not stop emails. And there could have been, Zoom calls by members of the industry preparing if this happens then. Right. But it didn't happen. And the practitioner is the one that suffers, and probably directly, not indirectly, individuals are going to suffer because, it may dash the hopes and dreams of those people that aren't the individuals actually. The clients, the customers rely on the clear cooperation policy. Although it's, it was a very friendly approach despite its flawed design. People gained superior representation with the appearance of no cost, keyword appearance. So that really, it was with buyers and without ever being asked for money, great relationships were formed. There's really, you hear realtors all the time say, we had a great personal relationship, we're close. And they are, and we all are. We've made friends. It's said that it's easier to make a friend from a client than a client it's from a friend. We've heard that, right? So,
definitely agree.
Right? It happens all the time. But we're now putting those relationships in place. If it was hard enough to get through Thanksgiving with the family member that didn't list their house with, it's going to be even harder next year when, you now say, listen, the commission is X amount, and please pay up with bank check only at closing.
Right. Sign here, press hard.
In triplicate. So now you're never going to get all the sides at the Thanksgiving you were expecting. We joke about it, but it's some real serious complications. I mean, it involves banking, it involves title policies, and it involves home inspections, it involves home insurance. You don't know because you never know the buyer now. Think about this. Loans might happen with people with less than stellar credit, but homeowners policies, insurance, it's harder. If you further ask for another outlay of cash, it may hurt their qualifications. This is a domino effect, by all means.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I think that there are solutions if the skill is built upon and put into practice instead of going to social media and screaming. I think that we should be more solution-based. Basically.
Solution-based. So, I'm making it a real priority of mine, and you are too, to let people know that there's a problem. Most people are unaware, and almost everyone is incapable of solving that problem. We've been doing the research. We've been listening to the right people. We've been looking at case law. I've been reading every news article I can get my hand on. So we speak with authority that there is a problem, whether people want to reject it or not. I can say to anyone listening, Victoria and I were laughed off a phone call by a bank who just said this is business as usual. And we gave them the authorities, the citations, and the news articles, and they didn't want to hear it. So we get it,
Antitrust laws were violated, and they said it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. And you know what? They might
can't continue to do it. And I think that when we all figure that out, that this is going to change, we'll be in a much better place to find.
And there will be solutions for those that are willing to take the next step and learn the appropriate channels and how to serve best clients and how to work with banks and how to demonstrate and actually carry out the benefit. There are benefits, of course. We know agents are extremely qualified. They're the pros. I think the problem is that no one has had the need to express their value proposition. There's no real requirement. It's because everyone lied in the security of the blanket of I call it the CCP, Clear Cooperation Policy, which wasn't a term that people used not that long ago. So it's something
very
new.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it changes from day to day. So we'll just keep our eye on it and hope that agents do begin to look for the proper solutions and build that skill.
Right. And one commitment Victoria and I have is to reach various boards of realtors and organizations, at least let them know that there is a problem. Here's why. There is a solution. There are ways that this can be this change in compensation. We're all here to earn a living. And if there's a way that your buyer's agent compensation could be secured and firmed up, then I think it's the only way to go.
Yeah. Totally agree. Thank you so much, Scott.
Yes, Victoria, till next time.